Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. One of the most commonly asked questions I'm getting right now is, Penguin, I have this blank profession, I also have this many knowledge points, but I don't know what to go into. What items are doing well, what items aren't, where should I put my knowledge points, and that is what we're going to cover in today's video. Now, of course, I could sit here and just be like, hey, do this, do this, do this, but let's face it, markets are always changing. Also, people are on different regions, so I want to walk you through exactly how to find these markets step by step and where to put your points. Now, fair warning, this is slightly more of a complex video as we're going to be dealing with some math and some different add-ons, but don't worry, I will walk you all through it. However, if you are looking for something a little bit more simple, I highly recommend checking out my other videos, and those will probably suit you better. But without further ado, let's dive right in, and I hope you enjoy. Now, first things first, you are going to need two required add-ons for this video, and the first one is CraftSim. This basically is like a very advanced calculator that's going to help you determine profits. It will also let you simulate things, which is what we're going to be doing, and it's just a very important tool if you're doing any sort of current content gold making. Secondly, in order to get prices of items for CraftSim to use, we will be using Auctionator as our pricing source add-on. Technically, Auctionator is an auctioning tool, so there is a lot more involved there, but simply just for this video, we're going to be using it as our price source. Now, technically, those are the only two add-ons you need. However, I do highly recommend picking up Trade Skill Master or TSM if you don't have it already, because that will be very helpful to look at sale rates, which is something we'll also take a look at. And lastly, I highly recommend that you pick up Demodal as well as BlizzMove. This will allow you to have the auction house window as well as your crafting menu open at the same time, and you can move them all around, and you'll see why that's very important in just a second. But that's kind of the add-ons that you need, and let's dive in game. Now, first things first, whenever you open the game and you open up your profession window, what you're gonna see is probably some new UI. Now, some things might be showing, some things might not, but you'll have this little drop-down menu here, which has all of the different CraftSim modules. First thing, you're gonna wanna go into options and be sure that Auctionator is your selected price source. If you have a lot of different add-ons, for example, I have TSM and Auctionator, so they both show here, but you just want to make sure Auctionator is set. Secondly, if you go up to the actual Auctionator settings and go into basic options, make sure you uncheck show profit. The reason for this is that the profit from Auctionator is wrong, as it doesn't take into like your multi-craft or your resourcefulness or any sort of extra stats like that. So highly recommend just unchecking it so you don't get confused in the future. But that's all the settings you really have to worry about to get started. But going back to our profession menu, right now we're taking a look at jewel crafting. And so let's say I just have some specialization points available and I'm not exactly sure what to go into, but I do know I want to mass craft items. And this video is going to be based on you kind of mass crafting different things, but theoretically you could use this for any sort of craft. And so let's say in this case, I want to go for some basic crafting reagents. And so we have the vials, we have the lenses, and we also have the prisms. You can ignore this iris. This is a embellishment, so we'll ignore that for now. If we open up the auction house, what Auctionator allows us to do is refresh prices. So let's say we want to see how profitable this vial is. If we have both windows open, we can simply hit search and that will bring up all of the materials and it will update the prices of the final product as well as the items you're using. And you'll see right now, CraftSim is telling me, hey, you're gonna be losing 14 gold per craft. This is something bad, you should not craft this. And that makes sense because if you take a look at the crafting cost, it's about 19 gold, and right now the quality ones are selling for 3 gold, so that adds up pretty well. Now, of course, we can do the same thing with the lenses, and you'll see right now it is also a loss because yet again, crafting cost is about 560, and you'll see that the level 1 is selling for 457. And you're probably thinking, Penguin, like this is happening to me too, you know, nothing I can craft is profitable, and that's going to kind of happen and be the general trend for a lot of quality 1 items. The big money tends to be in whenever you can guarantee quality 2, but of course you don't want to spend your points without knowing it's truly possible. So let's use these lenses for an example. Let's say we want to see, alright, if I did have enough skill to craft this at max quality, what would my profit be? And this is where we're going to use CraftSim simulation mode. Whenever you select this, you'll see kind of a screen pop up, and it allows you to edit everything that you see. You can edit your multi-craft, your resourcefulness, your skill, and all of that. So there are kind of two main things that you need in order to guarantee a craft in Midnight. Firstly, you're going to need a bunch of skill, and secondly, you're going to need to use quality 2 reagents. So immediately we can say, all right, let's simulate this with using quality 2 reagents. So we'll just click on quality 2 right there. You'll see it shift over, and you'll see that our profit just drastically dropped. And the reason for that is because we are now paying for the more expensive reagents. Instead of buying a quality 1 at 500 gold, we're buying a quality 2 at 1700, and you'll see we'll still be producing a rank 1. So of course our profit drops drastically, but remember, we're trying to sim to guarantee a quality 2. So from here, you see that we are missing 153 skill, so let's just see what happens if we were to have that amount of skill. So we can go to our skill right here and type in 153, and all of a sudden, boom. From our current stats, assuming we have that skill, so if we can somehow get 153 skill, we will guarantee a quality 2, and all of a sudden our profit turns green. Meaning, if I am able to get that many skill points through specializations and other means, then I will be making a lot of gold. You'll see here that we're looking at about a 30% margin, so we're making about 700, a little bit less than 700 gold on average per craft, so this would be something that I definitely probably want to get my hands on. Now, the hard part is, of course, figuring out how to get that 153 skill, and the first thing that you can look at is maxing out your profession. In this case, I already have blue equipment as well as 100 out of 100 jewel crafting, but that would be your first step. So you definitely want to have 100 out of 100, and then you definitely want blue tools, and that will give you plus 40. So in that case, we're already good. And so that means the last thing that we are left with is specializations, but of course, it can be a little bit tricky to figure out, okay, what exactly affects this craft, and that is where another craft sim module comes to play. If we go back to simulation mode and we just simulate with quality 2s again, and I'm gonna get rid of that skill bonus right here, so we're back to there we go, we're back to the 153 that we need. We're gonna go and open up the specialization info module. What this does is shows you exactly what specializations affect this particular craft, and it will fill in any sort of knowledge points that you already have. In this case, because this is a jewel crafter that I do other things for, I already have points into some of these areas, but this will kind of guide us to where we need to put points. So you'll see that through specializations, I already have the 40 out of the 195 points available, and if you take a look, I need 153 skill, so basically I just need that remaining skill from this tree, and I'll be good. If I hover over, you'll see right here that this right here is giving me 35 skill. I already have this maxed out though. And if you take a look at specializations, that is this node right here. However, it is saying that this node, the material manufacturer, is going to give a bunch of skill as well as boldly basic. You'll see right here the boldly basic as well as the material manufacturer. So if we go back to simulation mode, yet again, go back to our settings, and let's say, all right, I'm gonna put 30 points into material manufacturer. Sweet, I am still missing 98 points. So I'm like, okay, that's progress, but that's not there just yet. Let's go and put the 30 points into boldly basic, and there we go. That would hit my skill requirements. So I know at my current state, in order to guarantee this, I basically need 60 knowledge points. Now, of course, because I am already specialized in something else, I don't have any knowledge points laying around. I currently have 1 because I've already spent quite a few. But if you're somebody who has a brand new specialization, whether you haven't gotten all your points yet or you have saved them up, you might have enough where you can simply just go and spec this tree and then you're good to go. And of course, if you're missing a few points like me, you at least know what direction you should go for. Now, we can take this one step further by also looking at our other stats. For example here, yes, of course, we need the 60 points in order to guarantee a quality 2, and guaranteeing a quality 2 is already profitable with our other stats, but you have to take a look and remember that I do not have the multi-craft node, and multi-craft is extremely very beneficial, especially if you're doing any sort of mass crafting with reagents. So you'll see if I were to get 30 points into here, I would get 110 multicraft, as well as that 50% of extra items. And so you can take this to the next level as well and also sim this change. So if we were to say, all right, I'm also going to put 30 points into output, you'll see immediately not only does our profit stay green, but it jumps from 33% profit all the way to 60-ish. Now you have to of course remember, in this state with my current profession, I need 90 knowledge points to make that happen, and 90 knowledge points is very hard to get right now because I've already done all my first time crafts, I've done my renowned booklet, those sort of things. But if you're somebody who has a brand new profession, you could try your best to kind of make it this far. But yeah, that is kind of the basic way to be able to sim items and figure out if it's a craft worth going to. If you want to take a look at another item, you can take a look at vials, and let's do the exact same thing. We're quickly going to refresh the prices to make sure we have the current auction house prices. We go into sim mode, we guarantee quality 5, and you'll see yet again we're missing the same amount of skill. And that's because they actually use the same exact specializations, because these are both reagents, they follow the same exact path. So actually, if we were to complete this path, we would actually get both of these items. But we'll go ahead and add 30 points here, as well as 30 points here. And you'll see, yes, we can guarantee quality 2s, but actually right now, this is not very profitable, at least not with multicraft. So this would be something where, okay, vials is probably not the best to go for on the NA region with the current prices. But of course, remember, prices can always change. If you were somebody who could go into multi-crafting and you max that out, you see that it becomes slightly profitable right there. So yes, multi-craft definitely makes a difference. But you can take this method and apply it to all of professions. I happen to be a blacksmith over here, and so let's take a look at some items. Now, I'm not going to go into the reason behind this because that doesn't really apply to this video, but let's say I'm somebody who wants to go into ingots. And for example, I actually have 26 knowledge points to spend, and that gives me a lot of options here. So let's say maybe I want to max out alloys. How does that look? First things first, we'll refresh the profit, and you can see right now we have a little bit of a slim margin right here with quality 1s. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's go ahead and sim for quality 2. We can open sim mode and we can use our high quality reagents, and immediately we're going to dump profit, and you'll see that I'm missing 87 skill. Now you'll notice that I'm only at 59 out of 100 points, so I could immediately get 41 skill by just leveling this up right there, so that would leave me with still needing about 46 skill, and remember I also don't have full blue tools, so I could get a lot of skill simply by just fixing those two things right there. But then of course I do have the option of also going into different specializations, and you'll see that the alloys tree right here is giving us a ton of skill, so this is where I probably would want to drop 20 points. And you'll see because of the current prices, and if you take a look over here and make sense, you require 5 rank 2 ore to make an ingot. You'll see that the rank 2 ore is currently at 143 gold, and you'll see that the ingot is at 330. So yes, this is not a profitable craft, so for me, I should probably save those 20 points, as it is not worth speccing in to alloys right now. But yes, that is the general way of using simulation mode to figure out if putting spec points into a certain tree is truly worth it. However, there are a few more tips that I quickly want to mention before ending this video. Firstly, you might come across a craft like this. You'll see that right now, technically this craft is profitable, however, there is only a 6% profit margin, and that is very, very slim. And you also have to remember that craft sim uses an average profit, meaning you do have to craft these items in bulk. If I were to just simply buy these items off the auction house for a single craft, you'll see that the crafting cost is about 224 gold, but you'll see that the rank 1 ingots sell for 190. So if I just craft one and I don't proc anything at all, I'm losing gold. However, if I were to proc multi-craft or resourcefulness or something like that, that is where I might become profitable, and that's where it averages out. So the other module that I want to highlight is called statistics. We're just going to close the specialization info for now, and if you go into statistics, what this is going to allow you to see is play around first of all with how many crafts you want to produce, and also it's going to show you how the profit is broken down. Like I mentioned before, if I don't proc anything, I am losing gold, and I'm actually losing 40 gold in this case. if I proc multicraft, I'm actually making 200 gold. If I proc resourcefulness, I'm making 20, and if I proc both, I'm making 300 gold. So you'll see how the procs outweigh the non-procs. And so, because this is such a slim margin, we have to be careful with how many crafts we produce, and your goal here would be to get 100% profit, and this is simply your profit being greater than 0. So let's say I anticipate to craft 100 items. You'll see if I were to craft 100 ingots, my chances of profit is still only 75%. If we up this to 200, you'll see that it's 84%. So still, even after 200 crafts, I'm not guaranteed profit because that margin is so low. If I were to go to 250, still, if I go to 500, you'll see that it's still not even potentially profitable. So this is what you gotta look out for. In contrast, if we go back to jewel crafting, and let's go back to those lenses per se, and of course we have to do this in sim mode. So we're gonna go back to sim mode. I'm gonna give myself the 153 skill. There we go, we have a bunch higher margin. We're gonna open up that statistics menu, and you'll see this is exactly why this is profitable. You'll see without any sort of procs, it's making 300 gold. If you proc resourcefulness, it's making 1,000. If you proc multicraft, it's making 4,000. If you proc both, it's making up to 5,000. That is why that margin is very, very high. And you'll see if I were to craft 500, I'm guaranteed a profit. And because none of these expected profits are 0, if I even craft one item, it's going to be 100%. So yet again, this is showing like, hey, this is very profitable. This is not the best example, but because every single option is profitable, no matter what, even if you craft one, your chance of profit is good, but if you craft one and don't proc anything, you might only make 300 gold instead of the anticipated 700 gold. Another example right here, I'm just simming a random gem. I don't even have this recipe learned, but I'm giving myself enough skill in order to guarantee it. I also upped my multicraft stats just to sim, and you'll see this would be a 15% margin. So yet again, if we go over and open up our statistics, you'll see we have a loss if we don't proc anything, and then we have big, big profits if we do proc. And yet again, if we play around with the numbers, you'll see at 100 crafts, we have a 90%. And you'll see here, if we get to like 222 crafts, we're practically at 100%. If we go over the threshold, there we go. It's like the 223 mark is the threshold. There's a little bug that this will show 0%, but that means 100. So there we go. You would basically have to craft that many to be able to guarantee profit, but you gotta remember these are pretty expensive crafts. The profit is so high because, you know, if we take a look at the items, we're using 5 of these quality 2 gem dust, we're using 1 of the high-end gems, so automatically this is like a very, very expensive craft, especially if you're crafting 223 of them. So that is something you have to be mindful as well. Then lastly, the final thing that I want to quickly mention, because I know this video is getting long, but I do want to quickly mention sale rate. If we take a look at an item like a material right here, you'll see, by the way, this is a good craft that's good regardless. You don't even need to guarantee quality 2s, just a heads up. But let's say you're interested in this item, and the first thing that you can do is hover over its final product. What you're going to see is this is coming from TSM, but you're going to see a region average daily sold. Now, the thing here is that you do have to be careful because this number isn't very 100% accurate, so take it with a grain of salt, but I would use it relative to other numbers. So right now, you're looking at 445, and that's a pretty high number. From personal experience, I know this item sells very, very fast. I personally sell over probably 1,000 of these every single day, so obviously more than 445 sell per day, but that's just kind of a number to keep in the back of your head. If we compare this to the rank 2 version, you'll see that it's only 122, which means, okay, it's, doesn't sell as fast as the rank 1, which makes sense because it's more expensive and not everybody's paying up for the high quality mats right now, but it's still 122. It's about a fourth, let's say, of the quality 1. This should still sell relatively fast. So if you wanted to sim this and see, okay, is the, quality 2s worth crafting, you'll see that yes, the quality 2s are profitable, so okay, this would actually be worth it, and I could expect the high ranks to sell pretty well. In contrast, if we look at an item like this, which is an embellishment, so remember what embellishments are. Embellishments, you have to apply them to different weapons and armor, so automatically this isn't just a reagent that's used in everyday crafting. This would have to be something that a player actually wants to seek out to apply to their armor. And if we take a look at the rank 1s, only 32 sell per day. Of course, more than 32 likely sell, but that's basically a tenth of what you saw with the reagents. And if we compare that to its rank 2 version, so its high quality version, technically it is saying, hey, not even 1 sells per day. Now, do I believe that is true? No, I definitely think people are out there probably crafting them, but that just kind of shows you like, okay, this is definitely not a fast seller, and that makes sense because not everybody is crafting high-end gear. Remember, the raid is not even out yet. People just got some sparks. We don't even know if, I haven't checked the list to see if this is actually a best in slot embellishment or not, but that would be something that you want to look out for. Because if you were just simming items, and if we were to sim this item right here, you'll see that if I could guarantee a quality 2, this profit looks incredibly good. It's saying 120%, what the heck, that's awesome, but then if you mass craft a bunch of these, they might never sell. And so that's just something you need to keep in mind. Use Trade Skill Masters region average daily sold to kind of get an idea of, okay, how fast are things selling. If you've sold items in the past and you know they sell pretty fast, you can kind of use that as your relative mark and compare the other items you're looking for to see, okay, is this a faster seller or a slower seller? And that can kind of help you and not fall into the trap of, okay, this profit looks really great, but I'm having a really hard time selling this item. But yeah, guys, that's about it for this video. I apologize, it is a little bit complicated, and I know I kind of repeated myself and gave you a ton of examples, but I really just wanted to show you how this could be utilized for practically all professions, regardless of what sort of crafts you want to do, and hopefully this can point you in the right direction. And of course, be mindful of how many knowledge points you can have. If a build is going to cost 150 knowledge points for something to be profitable, nobody can get 150 knowledge points right now. So of course, you could work towards that build, but by the time you get there, who knows what the market will look like. So definitely be mindful of how many knowledge points it's going to take, and use that to your best abilities to figure out what sort of items you want to craft. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Let me know if you like this style of video and you want kind of these more nitty-gritty, kind of technical side of things. I like making them, but I know not everybody enjoys watching them. But as always, everybody, have a good day.